Hey everyone, Cody from Mactelecom Networks. UniFi Design Center 2026-0202 came out a few days ago, and I thought it would be a good idea to do a full-on UniFi Design Center tutorial. We haven't done one in quite a while, and they have added a lot to it. With the new update, they bring in high availability to the Design Center so we could use shadow mode, and we also have MC lag. There are other improvements like wired client devices, and we'll go all through that. So let's get started. To get started, you're going to want to go over to design.ui.com, and you should be prompted by this wizard. In this wizard, it could build out a rack for us. So say we want to add Wi-Fi and we click on the E7, it will automatically put in a couple different devices. So it put in the EFG for us as well as a Pro XG48 PoE. We could also add in more cameras, door access, and other integrations. They have a couple different icons up top. It's going to tell you what devices you're going to need to purchase, and then it will show you how many ports are being used for this one device. If we added a second E7, it's going to show that another port has been taken up. We're not going to be doing the wizard. We're going to just try out this demo project. So I'm going to remove all of the devices, and then I'm going to try out demo project. If you weren't doing the demo project, you would click on this down arrow and you would create a new project. From here, you're going to want to upload your PDFs. These already have the walls drawn in, but I'm going to delete them all, and then we're going to draw in the walls for ourselves. When you upload your floor plan, it's going to ask you to set a scale, and this is very important to get accurate as it's going to determine your Wi-Fi coverage. You could either do it in feet or meter. If you go up to this icon or preferences at the top, it will show either feet or meters. I'm going to switch mine to feet, and you could also have the show prices on, or light mode, dark mode, or you could have it set at your system. Now I'm going to start drawing in walls. So at the bottom of our screen, you could see over here we have a bunch of different icons, and one is draw walls. So I'll click on draw walls, and on the right hand side, it's going to show us a bunch of different materials. Concrete, drywall, glass, brick, wood. We have doors, we have windows as well, and or you could add or modify. So if we click on add and modify, you could create your own attenuation values for each one of these materials, or you could add a full-on new material. We're just going to leave it at default for this video. Now, since this is a demo, I'm just going to say all of the exterior that is concrete. So I'm going to grab the concrete, and then we're just going to start drawing. I'm not going to worry about the windows right now. With the concrete all drawn in for the perimeter of our building, I didn't worry about the windows, but you could see that there are windows here. So if I grab my mouse pointer and we just click right here, we could add another point. So we could do a point from where the window starts and then a point where it finishes. Once we have that drawn, we could click on that material type and then we could go to change wall. Changing the wall, we can now put that on glass. We'll just do single pane of glass. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that for each one of the glass pieces on the exterior of the building. The next thing that we need to draw is the interior of our building, and we're just going to start with drywall and we're going to do standard. So I'm not going to worry about the doors. I'm just going to go ahead and draw in all of these walls and we'll deal with the doors after. All the interior walls are now drawn. We need to go ahead and select the material for our doors. So it's the same thing as for our windows. I'm going to click on the door or on the line, and I'm going to add a point from where the door starts to where the door ends. Then we're going to change the material, and we're going to select which door we want. So do we want it wood, metal, or glass? For this building, I'm just going to say that they're all wooden doors. And I'm just going to go around, I'm going to keep adding points, and I'm going to keep on adding those wooden doors. With all of the walls drawn in, we need to start placing devices. And you can see place devices at the bottom of Design Center. Once you click on that, it's going to bring up all the device types. So we have the cloud gateways, switching, door access, all the way down to wired clients, and we have some racks. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to decide where we're going to have this IT closet. And I think the bottom left-hand corner gives us enough space, and we're going to click on racks and accessories. Now within racks and accessories, this is where we have our RJ45 or our keystone wall plates. We have the toolless mini rack, and then we have from a 12U all the way up to a 48U rack. I'm just going to click on the 42U, and we're going to go down and we're going to place this rack in the middle of this room. With the location of where our network room is going to be, I'm first going to start with wireless access. So we want to go over to our Wi-Fi section, and decide which access point that we want to go with. We're typically using the U7XGs or the XGSs. So for this video, we'll just use the XGS and we're going to have them in white. I'm going to click on the XGS and we're just going to place them where we think that they should go. So I'll just put one in the bottom left-hand corner. Maybe I'll put one up in this meeting room. We'll go down in the center here, and then we'll do one off to the right. Now this isn't crazy accurate. I'm just placing on here so that you can see the Wi-Fi coverage. We can see what the coverage is like with the U7 Pro XG. We're using 4 of them, and we're on the 5 gigahertz right now. If we want to see what the 2.4 is, we could see that, and then the 6 gigahertz. Something that's new, we could see where it says primary coverage. We could click on this drop-down arrow. We could see secondary coverage, and we could see tertiary coverage. We could also see our data rate. So clicking anywhere on this map with our data rate, it's going to show us what we should be getting or expected real world speeds. You can see as I move it around, it's showing between 1 gigabit and 2 gigabit per second. There's a couple new things that we could do with our Wi-Fi access points. So with the access point, we could click on the AP and we could give it a name. I've already given this one a name of AP1. We could also select the model, or we could change the model, and then we could see our mounting type. So the mounting types that we have are ceiling, or we have it on a wall or pole. If you select between these, it will change the radiation pattern that you do see on the site. But it also tells you what height that you put this access point. So it is showing that we're doing it at 9 feet, and then we have a different tilt angle. If we're using Wi-Fi 7 access points that are going to use MLO, we could see what MLO does. So multi-link operation is a feature that increases capacity by simultaneously sending and receiving data across different frequency bands and channels for the 2.4, 5, and the 6. So for this, we're going to check that off. Now you can see the channel widths that they've selected here. It says the 2.4 is on 40 megahertz. We're going to switch that down to 20, and then the 5 is at 80, and then the 6 gigahertz is at 160. I'm going to switch that over to be 320. We could also set the different transmit powers, and we could select the channels that they're on. In the bottom right-hand corner, we could also see the antenna radiation pattern. Something else that's new within Design Center is this client experience. So we have our U7 Pro XGS. We're going to look at the 5 gigahertz on 80 megahertz, and we're going to say it's on high power, and then we could select the client device that we're going to use. So a Wi-Fi 7 device all the way down to a Wi-Fi 4 phone. So we could see that right on the screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We have this Wi-Fi 7 device. So as I'm walking around, it's going to show the different dB and the feet that I'm away from the access point. It will also eventually show when I'm roaming to a different access point if we get far enough away. So you can see that on that AP1, we have 3 different lines. That's because we have multi-link operations on that AP. It would show on each one of these other APs if I had it turned on, but I don't currently. Before moving over to any other devices like security cameras or door access, we're going to put some data jacks within this floor plan. So what we need to do, we need to go over to racks and accessories, and you can see here that we have RJ45 sockets. So this is a 1 port, and then we have a 2 port. They used to have a 4 and an 8 port, but they took that out. I think 1 and 2 are more generally used within office spaces. But on the 1 port, we could see that we have Cat 5e, or if you click on the drop down, you could go all the way up to Cat 8. We're just going to use the 1 port, and we're going to say it's Cat 6. We're going to put a Cat 6 drop in each one of the offices just along the wall. We're also going to put one in the middle of each of these tables. Something really nice that UniFi Design Center has introduced, we could click on each one of these data jacks, or we could click on any one of the devices that we put on this floor plan, and we could change the name of what they are. So when you're trying to lay out your plan, you're going to place this as data jack number 1, and you could pull your cables and you could label them exactly how the map is. So when you're done with your customer, you could just hand them the Design Center, or you could print off the map and they'll know where each one of these cables go. The AI 360s are now on our floor plan, and to see the camera coverage, all we need to do is press cameras. And we could see in the bottom right-hand corner, smart detections. So if it's faint blue or darker blue, it is poor, and then if it goes up to the lighter blue, it is great. And if you put your marker or your cursor on the screen, there's going to be a dot in that smart detection zone, and it will move as you move it around. So it's going to show you when you have the best quality for smart detections. The next devices that we're going to be putting in is for our door access. I'm going to put a reader at each one of these doors. So we'll click on door access, and we need to first start off with our enterprise hubs. So I'm going to put in 3 enterprise hubs, as I don't know how many doors are currently there. Each one of the enterprise hubs could hold up to 8 doors. Next, we need to select the reader we want. There is the G3 Reader Pro, the Reader Flex, the G3 Reader. We have our intercoms. I'm just going to select the G3 Reader Pro, and we're going to have it on white for all of our doors. With the G3 Reader Pros in, they do have a camera built in, so highlighting over the readers, you could see the angle of what the camera is going to capture. If we click on cameras again, it's going to show us full visibility onto where we have our camera angles, and this floor plan is pretty much covered. Ubiquiti just did add this wired client device, and this is the last device that we're going to place on this floor plan, but we have workstation, printer, media device, server, POS terminal, or generic client. So we're just going to click on the workstation. I'm going to put in 1 per office and 1 per desk within this open floor space. All of the devices are now placed onto the floor plan. We need to create a cable route, and this is nice to know how much cable that you need for the job. So down at the bottom, it says draw cables. So we could do wired connection, we could do wireless connection, we could do a cable route, or we could do a tunnel, which would be a tunnel up to a 2nd story. I'm going to do a cable route, and you could think about this as like a cable tray going down the hallway in maybe an office building. So we'll click on cable route. And for this, I'm just going to go right from the right side all the way down the middle. And then we're going to go down to our network rack, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. The cable route is now done, and we could see that we have 60 unconnected devices. 15 of these devices are going to go over to our enterprise hub. So we'll have 45 unconnected devices that we need to get into a switch. So we could either check off this connection optimizer, and it will tell us that we need to add another switch. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go down to my network rack, and we're going to build it manually. So I'll click on my network rack, and then we're going to click on the settings wheel. From here, you can see that we have a 42U rack, which has nothing in it currently. So I'm going to click Add Device. The first thing I'll add is our cloud gateway, and we're going to use a Dream Machine Pro Max. We're actually going to put 2 of them in there. For switching, we're going to use the Pro Max 48 PoE. We only do have 45 network jacks, but I'm going to put in 2 of these different switches just in case we want to upgrade or add more cables in the future. Now we have the base switching and our firewalls. We could go back to the draw cables, and then we could click connect. And this is going to connect all of our devices down to our switches and our enterprise access hubs. Selecting one of the cables that are running back to our network rack, like this AI360, you could see that it's 118.6 feet back to the network rack. So this is awesome when you need to determine how many boxes of cable you need to buy for a particular job. Something else that will help you out after doing the cable route and connecting the devices, when you click over on ports, it's going to show you where you should place everything. Since these U7 Pro Maxes are 2.5 gigabit per second, you'd see that it put it at the end of the switch where there's 2.5 gigabit per second ports. The next thing that we're going to do, and which is nice within UniFi Design Center, is we could organize our rack. We're most likely not leaving our rack like this. We probably need things like patch panels, maybe some blanks, a UPS, and an NVR. So we're going to add patch panels first. I'm going to click on Add Device. We're going to go to Accessories, and at the bottom we could see 24 port blank keystone patch panels, and we're going to add 4 of those. With the 4 keystone panels added, I'm going to separate these switches. I'm going to bring the patch panel up top, 1 up top, and then 1 below each one of these switches. The nice thing about doing it this way, we could add 6-inch patch cables going from the patch panel down to the network switch, and it will look really clean. Now to add in more devices, all we need to do is click Add Device. And this time, we're going to go to Power and Backup. The only thing that I'm going to add in this rack is a UniFi UPS 2U, and I'm going to place that near the bottom as it's a little bit heavy. Now in the middle, I'm just going to place an NVR, and for this, we'll use an eNVR, even though we probably don't need it, so we'll put one of those in. And then the rest of the spaces, I'm going to add in blank panels to make this rack look nice. All right, and this is how our network rack's going to look. We have all our switching at top, we have our Protect in the middle, and then we have the UPS at the bottom, and we have all of these vented panels. But if you have a third-party device, we could delete one of these vented panels, and then we could add another device, and there are third-party devices. So we have 1U rack, 3U rack, we have our UPS, and we have different cooling. In the latest UniFi Design Center update, it allowed us to show shadow mode between 2 of our UniFi cloud gateways, and it also let us show MC lag for switching that supports it, but it doesn't show us if it's inside of the network rack. So you would have to grab the device, so place devices, go to cloud gateways, and say we're going to do 2 Dream Machine Pro Maxes, and we'd have to place them both down on the floor plan. After that, we would have to click our cables, so draw cables, and then we do wired connections between. After we have the connection, we could click on it and you could see edit devices. So we have our primary and then we have our secondary and we could see the model type. I'm hoping that they add this within the rack because I'm typically not going to have these devices just sitting on the floor plan like this. There's a few more things I want to talk about before this video is finished, and that's about adding a second floor plan. And will Wi-Fi propagate through it? Well, it will. So to add a second floor plan, we're going to click on this plus icon. I'm just going to call it floor 2, and then we're going to drag and drop the floor plan that we want to choose. This is the same floor plan as below. We're just going to set our scale, and you can see down that we have here our different scaling. So I'm just going to go all the way up there, and that is 30 feet, and we're going to press save. Next, we need to align our floor plan. So I'll click align floor plan, and you can see that we have our demo floor plan, and then we have our floor plan 2. So we're going to want to make sure that the scaling pretty much matches on, and you can see all the drawn in walls. I'm just going to try to line these up the best I can. Okay, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to click on move all to building. Now we don't have any access points on this secondary floor, but you could see access points on the floor plan. So this is Wi-Fi that's coming up to the second floor. I'll click on Wi-Fi, and it is showing us our radiation patterns or our data rate right now of what we would be getting. But if we want to see our primary coverage, you're going to see what's going to be going through those floors. Obviously, you're going to want to add other access points to the second floor for the best coverage. A few other things that we could do within Design Center, we could change this 2D model to a 3D model just by clicking on 3D. This is pretty cool. It's going to show you where all of your devices connect, and it's also going to show you a 3D representation of where you built out your walls. Under the view settings, we have different icon sizes, so if you want them to be larger, you could do that. You would change the visibility, you would turn off the device name, you could add the device model, connectivity, the camera opacity, the signal from other floors, you could turn that on or off. You have the wall opacity, the floor plan opacity, and then you have floor plan rotation. You'd also reset them all to the default. On the left-hand side, we're just going to go down this list. So we have our rack view. This is going to show us what we built previously within that rack. We have our floor plans, which we've already looked at, and then we have our different topology. It's going to show you what you have connected where. We also have our ports, which we've looked at, so it will put each one of those connected devices onto a compatible port. Now, if you want to share this design to somebody and you don't want them to be a collaborator to be able to change things, you have this on the side where you could share. You could copy the link and then you could share it to somebody. If you want to look at what you're checking out or how much your shopping cart's going to be, you could click on the checkout and it's going to list all of the items that are in stock, and it's going to show you the price. You'd see right now that rack mount OCD panels to you vented, you could only order 3 of these. So you're going to have to find another way to get a couple more. Now, say instead of just sharing this design to somebody, you want to add a collaborator so that they could make some changes. Well, how would we end up doing this? In the top left-hand corner, we're going to hit the drop-down menu. Then we're going to click on Manage Projects. From the Manage Projects, we're going to select this demo project and we're going to press Edit. Now under this, we could give it a name, the country, the building type, and then we see the collaborators. So from here, we would just put in the email address of the person that we want to be able to make changes within this design. I know that was a lot to go through, but that is the full Design Center 2026 walkthrough, and I really do love Design Center, seeing as it's completely free of charge. This really does help out when you're going to be managing projects or starting a new project, seeing what devices you could use, Wi-Fi coverage, the different door access. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of Design Center. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.